even hello there. Welcome to the Trenchfoot Society.
This is the Trenchfoot Society, broadcasting through the wire. To all listeners dug in near and far, we're wishing you a Merry Christmas and a cold, honest Yuletide. As the year turns, may you find a brief calm between barrages, warmth among friends, and enough light to carry you into the days ahead. Hold fast, keep your heads down, and remember, even in the darkest winter, the signal still carries. Welcome back to the trenches, boys. What have you been up to this month, hobby-wise?
Let's see. Been pretty busy, but I have finally committed to a scheme for the Sultanate. Doing most of them. Got most of the infantry down. I'm saving the assassin for last, so I'm going to try something different with him. I haven't seen really anybody do it yet, so I'm hoping it'll be good. I actually have a few ideas for them, and thinking about it makes me kind of want to play the assassins. So I'm in this faction limbo where I'm like, oh, House of Wisdom sounds cool, but assassins
as long as you don't
cool
cheat
too.
like Yuli did.
Yeah, like
I was gonna say,
I'll read the rules first. The big,
what?
So that'll be
That's
a big
crazy.
difference. I won't give
That's
all my
crazy
assassins
talk.
tough. That's not gonna happen. But yeah, and then like midway during the week, I was like, you know what, trench ghosts are pretty cool. So I printed off
That's
a
what
little.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I printed off a little I found just a cheap mini tankette file off Cults, and then I shrunk it down 50% so it'd fit on a 50 mil base, and I was like, oh, that'll be a cool tank palanquin or whatever. Really, I just want to make Axel from Twisted Metal. If you ever played that game, the guy that's trapped between the two giant monster truck tires and just screaming as he shoots missiles. That's the guy I want to make.
Mike, what have you been up to?
I did a little bit more with similar, printing out some trench ghosts that I'm still very heavily thinking for our next campaign. Probably going to run those. I have entirely too much of that now green fluorescent translucent resin left over, because once I dyed it, I'm like, well, there's not much else I'm going to do with this other than make more of these trench ghosts. So that's kind of been left to keep doing more of those, and but I still want to try those out. Just recently, though, I started printing
too.
some. Oh yeah, I've definitely been printing a whole bunch of terrain off for you. We've done a lot of buildings and a lot of destroyed stuff. We've been trying to get more line of sight blocking, so lots of very large pieces. Good Lord, we've had a handful of buildings that you've been painting up and posting in the Discord for us.
Yeah, it's looking really
I've got
good.
a handful more I got a handful more down in the spare room down the hall.
Thank you.
That I need to go hand over to you. I got a whole box full of stuff I need to give to you now, which has some new Diceverse stuff in it, some more rubble for you. I can't even remember all the stuff that's in there.
Yeah.
And then I've also been doing some new warband stuff we'll be getting into here in a
Shell
minute.
piles was one of them.
Yeah, some shell piles and buildings, all kinds of stuff. And then
All right, well,
I just, within the last few days, started printing out the next things with Black Grail that I plan on playing with, which is all of the Great Hunger stuff, or as I've been loving to refer to them now because of a little bit of a typo on the Discord, the Big Hungry. That was one.
Did they really call it the Big Hungry?
Well, it was. I think it was Fred was saying that he was playing. He said he typed out that he was playing. I think he was just meant to do BG, but put BH. And somebody was like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's the Big Hungry."
Oh, it's
so
Big Hungry now.
Yeah, type BH.
Yeah, so I've been referring to it as the Big Hungry because it's funny to me now.
It's
But
definitely
I
a big
got
hungry now.
yeah, so the files for that that campaign just went off not but a few days ago. They had a little bit of a trouble with it getting out, but got all of those, and I've got most of it printed. There was a few that had some errors, and I had some issues with the printer, but I've got most all of that printed, which is ridiculous because they've got like I'm used to the original Black Rail that had like 4 thralls in it. I think between the fly and regular Grail thralls, there's like 19 different thrall files in this one. So
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's cool.
there's a lot. Yeah, it's
cool.
nice to have that, and on top of which, there's also bases. They've got. I'm not a big fan of pre-made bases, but they have the pre-made ones that have keys, and all the models have little keys on the feet, which again I'm not usually a big fan of, but they fit pretty well. And so far, I'm using all the pre-made bases to go with them. I just had to re-support them because I didn't like how janky the supports left at the bottom of them, and I didn't feel like sanding more, so it was easier to just re-support them the way that I do. But I've been printing out those, and like most all of the thralls have both a 32 and a 25 mil base. The Butcher Knights, freaking, they look phenomenal and have different arm options and all that. So I've been having a lot of fun printing out all the options and trying to figure out what I want to roll them as. And I still haven't even played it. I haven't even fully finished off a list for it to play. Aside from I know I want to run the Hag and 2 Gregs and basically fill out the rest of the list with thralls because it just looks like so much fun.
Right on.
Oh yeah.
But how about you, Johnny? What you been working on aside from painting lots and lots of bricks?
So yeah, I've been working on a bunch of terrain, primarily ruined buildings, to try to make a more line of sight blocking friendly ruined town village board. So yesterday I brought 3 more buildings up to Spray Gunner for the board, and plus those fire smoke markers I made with the tea lights.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, those are
Those
freaking
very
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I'm working on the last of the ruined buildings that I have currently, and I know you got a bunch more for me. And then I have 2 of those massive gun bunkers. I gotta do.
Oh, I forgot about those.
Yeah, and then a brutalist cross. I gotta do that one at some point. And I've been working here and there on the little secret project I got going on. And I've also been planning a Krampusnacht, like a one-off, a narrative one-off multiplayer game. And that's pretty much it. I mean, work's been kind of crazy, so haven't had too much time.
I hear that.
Yeah, we've all been pretty busy. There hasn't been too much hobby time. Like I said, that's for me. The last couple of days, I've been going ham because they were supposed to get the Big Hungry, the Great Hunger files. I think they were supposed to get done by the end of last month, and there was some issue with Mini Maker Factory or Mini Factory, whatever the site's called. I know they sent out an update where they put them out there, and there was, depending on which ones you did, like I did the just give me everything one, and it gave me like 5 different posts in my library, and one of them had files on it, but some of the pieces were missing, and the other ones were just empty. And they sent out an update, said, "Hey, something's wrong," and we're working with them. We're like, it should be done, and fixed tomorrow. So it was either December 1st or 2nd that the files actually showed up, and I started downloading and throwing basically nonstop, putting those and jamming as many as I could fit into the printer at a time. So, in fact, I probably didn't keep well enough track of it because usually I just try to do like 1 or 2 of each one, maybe 3 if it's something I might take a couple of. And I have entirely too many of everything at this point, except for Greg's. I could probably go do 1 more Greg, even though I think you can only take 2.
Yeah, it's limit 2. That reminds me, though, I did back a Kickstarter and it was finally fulfilled. I backed Westphalia's Penance 1914. So I currently just got all the files for those.
Nice.
Sounds like I might be printing other stuff soon too. Then.
As an extreme possibility, yes.
Did that come with terrain too, or was it just minis?
It did not. I think it was just minis.
Okay, because I know I saw one of the ones for that one that had like a big castle and such, and I was wondering if I was going to need to fire up the FDM and the resin.
You already printed that. That was that big church from Diceverse.
Which one? Oh yeah, no, I know now which one. I'm trying to remember which Diceverse one I printed. That I'm like, which? I'm like, there's been a couple of those I printed.
I do want to mention that we do have again. We have the sponsor, SprayGunner.com is sponsoring us. You can go to their website and use our affiliate link, which we'll post on the show notes. You can go to their website. You can use code TFS5 off SG for 5% off your entire purchase. So save a little money. Go visit them for all your painting and airbrushing supplies.
Speaking of Diceverse, do we want to talk about our new friends?
I always want to talk about our new friends.
Yeah, so we recently have been working with Blood and Benediction, and for those that don't know, it's kind of like an e-zine, and it's similar to like 28 mag,
or White Dwarf.
Yeah, or White Dwarf. Really cool. Check them out on Patreon. The cool thing about it is they reached out to us, and I actually hadn't heard of them before, but I took a look and I was like, oh, this is just like 28 meg. And if you guys don't know, Trench Crusade basically got started through 28 mag. It was basically just kind of this, oh hey, this would be cool, and then I think James reached out to Thomas and Mike, and they did like some collab, and then it started taking off from there. And this is like it right in that vein. It's just they do focus on like creator like highlights, lore highlights. They have some really cool custom rules coming up. I've been looking, and I really like everything that they have on there. They put a spotlight on some of the creators in the community, which I personally have also been following and really like. So it's really nice that they get a shout there.
Yeah, and some of their custom rule stuff is super cool. Like they've got a basically a tweak to the rules to do like solo play, which is something I've definitely wanted to try just for doing out rules. It's one of the things with Kill Team that I always thought was interesting, was to be able to do that, especially living in Florida. That's something where I'm like, man, that'd be great. As soon as we have a hurricane and the power's knocked out for 3 days, I'm like, I could just sit here at home and play my tabletop games even if nobody's here, and I can play in the dark.
Oh yeah, it's rules for solo play, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've wanted to try from them.
Yeah, that's very cool. I took a look at that, and it's great for like of course if you're by yourself, and also it's good for like running scenarios, like if you need practice, if you want to see how a warband plays, if you want to test out a list, it's really good for that. And it's good to like a lot of people often I see on the Discord and stuff, a lot of people are always on the main Discord, people are always asking like, oh well, how I lost this game, how do I get better? I think learning how to deploy, like learning your positioning, like general wargaming sense, that comes from getting reps in. So
100%.
If you can get reps in like by yourself, that's a really good way to make yourself a better player.
100%. We also have not really a partnership, but I just wanted to give him a shout out. He goes by Grim on our Discord. He's got an Etsy store, Carrion Throne, and he made faction-themed blast templates that are really awesome. They're these acrylic blast templates that you can go pick up over there at his Etsy store.
Yeah, Grim stuff is really cool. I really like everything you post.
I actually purchased his the one for New Antioch because that's my main faction. So
And before we get too far, we are also working with Auntie from Diceverse, which is what reminded me. He's helping us out too. We've got a little bit of collaboration in the works. He's shown us some stuff that he's working on. Won't say too much, but it is some very, very cool terrain stuff. I really like what I've seen so far. And everybody's like pretty on the same level of like what we like out of the hobby, like kind of like expectations of what we want to get out of the hobby and stuff. So it's just really nice to chat and hang out with like-minded tabletop gamers.
Who would have thought that us nerds found other nerds and we got along great,
right? Yeah, I mean, so, yeah. It's funny because, like, in the 40K community, I'm usually like at people's throats, like. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We're actually gonna be having them on soon at some point next year. I think we're gonna have them on as guests.
Keep your eyes peeled for that, guys.
Also, Spookeasy Lounge, the Catacombs Bar, reached out to us a little while ago. I wanted to give them a little shout out because they do like a Tuesday night gaming in the Catacombs from 7 p.m. to midnight. They have like food and alcohol, kava kratom, stuff like that. But it's cool because it's in Ybor City. And it was originally a church. So I just think it'd be really cool to play Trench Crusade in a bar that used to be a turn of the century church. I think that would be kind of dope. And the aesthetic there is really cool also.
Well, not only that, wasn't it like a church that like burned down and
it did.
Like,
it caught fire.
And
it had, I think it was 3 stories at one point, and the third story caught fire, so they had to remove like the whole third story of that building at some point. I don't remember what year that happened, but I can post. We can post before and after what it looked like as a church and what it looks like now.
Yeah, like normal. We'll post the pictures in the Discord afterwards. It's a super cool place, especially the gaming area is basically when you walk in, you go down into the basement. And they've got it set up. I believe they currently do like a D&D night. And they've got like a massive table set up, and they've got a pretty cool setup out there for it.
Yeah, has very gothic vibes. I think Eric, you've been there before, right?
Yeah, I was just down there the other week, and I always try to like stop there if I'm in Ybor. It's just a super cool bar, like it's very gothy, grim vibes, very appropriate for Trench Crusade. If you want to play games in there,
we happened to swing by there right around Halloween time. I think Johnny, you and I went over there, and it was the first time I had been out there. And I was like, "Yeah, this is really cool. Like, I like the Halloween theme." And you were just like, "Nah, this is just what they look like all the time."
Yeah.
Well, I took you into the basement first, and then I took you upstairs where like the main hangout and where they serve all the kava and kratom and teas and coffee drinks.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. The only thing that worries me is about going to hang out at a bar all night on a weeknight.
It's fine.
I mean, I think we could do it, but it definitely wouldn't be a weekly thing at least for me.
That's mostly just trying to get out to downtown Ybor every night or every week. But yeah, we definitely got to hit them up again.
And speaking of Ybor, I just wanted to give them a shout out. I have 2 friends, Taylor and Max. They run the Ybor Muta podcast. So for our listeners, if you want to know more about where we live, the Tampa, Ybor City area, check out the Ybor Muta podcast on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. They're around, and it's really good. I think they have like 8 or so episodes out at the moment. All right, Eric, you want to kick us off with the new game format?
Yeah, so 1.0, actually 1.1 now, has been out for a little while. I think people have had time to get a few reps in, get a few test games in. The new standard, and I'm I'm glad that they just put this out here, because even though Trench Crusade is a campaign game, of course people are going to do one-offs. Like I think you just have to have a format for one-offs. So the new standard is 800 ducks, 6 glory, and the board is 3x3. Have you guys gotten to play on the new size and the new list amount?
I have not, just because both boards that I've made are 4x4, which is still legal for Trench Crusade, because it does state either 3x3 or 4x4. And just for me to save time.
That was actually, that was one of the things I thought was funny, was like the official, 1.0 and 1.01, whatever they're on now. It's like, the size is 3x3, but all of the scenarios still use 4x4 boards.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, people say 3x, but it's like, it's not a hard requirement, like it. And a lot of the scenarios radiate, like they have a 24-inch, what is it, like a 24-inch center, and then they just like go outward from there. That's how it's, isn't that? That's how it's
and I mean, I think it works either way. And I definitely agree for a smaller, like a starter, like a one-off game. I think the 3x3 is probably better when you have a smaller number, especially if you were to do 700 ducat with no glory. But I think I haven't played one yet, but I do believe that even just increasing it just to 800 and 6 glory, I think should add a really good dynamic for a one-off, just to make it more fun. It gives you more options to play with some glory. That was our biggest thing with our first campaign, was we had been doing the 700 ducat games. And I was like, once we started the campaign, I'm like, I don't even know what the glory stuff is, because I'm like, I've never used it. I've never had it, so I don't even know what's useful there.
Yeah. I have played it and I do like it. It is small enough to be manageable, but the 6 glory is pretty generous. You get to play with some fun, glory items, and most of the juicy stuff is the glory items. So you get enough of that. Yeah. You get if you want some mercs, you can grab some of those. 800 is enough. I feel like 800 is enough to take like the fun stuff, but not so much to where the army it was just like for 900 it often felt like I was like, oh, okay, I'll just take everything. 800 is like you kind of have to make some decisions. You kind of have to have like a game plan to really execute. The 3x3, I personally prefer 4x4, just because you basically have like one turn of more. There's more like positioning. There's more like tactically setting up and getting into an advantageous position for 4x4. 3x3, you're just like in each other's face immediately.
I agree with you, Eric. Just because I'm old school, and that's everything back in the day was 4x4.
Yeah, so that 4x4 is like kind of what I'm more used to. 3x3 is still fun. You're just like slapping each other immediately though.
Well, I feel like that's why I think it's better as like specifically for one-off, where if you're trying to do like a one-off, I feel like that's more kind of like what we normally do on game nights, where it's like, hey, this is at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night after work. I want to get in, knock out a game in like an hour and a half, get home and still have time to have dinner. And I feel like that would kind of help on a slightly smaller board. Although, like you said, I would imagine that it does kind of negate that whole turn one setup. You're essentially just turn one, you're already blasting each other.
Yeah.
Unless you're Black Grail, and then you're still not close enough to kill anybody.
Well, there's ways. But yeah, it's like you said. I mean, the game is already like plays pretty fast, so that's good. This is I guess like plays more into the mentality of, okay, let's just get on the board. Let's just knock a few turns out. But honestly, the game is it's the same. It's fine. It's good. I enjoyed it. It might actually be a little more difficult for newer players, because a lot of people don't. They kind of don't know what to do, like when they're getting swamped. I played against a Sultanate player. I think he was like a little bit newer, and I actually was playing with the new Great Hunger rules, and you have two infiltrating Gregs there, and they were like in his face immediately, and that's we're gonna talk about that in a second. That's a whole other can of worms, but
Forgot the Gregs have infiltrator on top of everything else too.
yeah, that's it's a big deal. But yeah, it was a little bit much. I think for
Now,
the opponent.
there are certain scenarios that do not allow for infiltrators.
That's true. That's absolutely true. The Gregs are strong regardless, but yeah, it is what it is. I think the game overall is pretty much the same. Like, even with the new blast, even all that stuff. Like, I think it's the core mechanics are generally the same.
Yeah, I still haven't played with the new rules for Blast, which I won't lie, I am mildly worried about. Mostly because I can't think of much that I'm going to get that gets Blast, especially with Great Hunger, where you have very limited ranged weapons in general.
Now let's be honest, Mike. Great Hunger and Black Grail aren't your only warbands.
No, but they're the ones that I'm having the most fun with, even if I lose all the time.
Well, there's definitely
one of the reasons why I'm moving to Trench Ghost for the next campaign.
Rule of cool, my man. Rule of cool.
Yeah, it's all about rule of cool.
I gotta say the new Great Hunger models are pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Ridiculously detailed. Like, I don't think I'll ever complain about GW and detail creep anymore. When I look at that, like I as much as I'm like, this looks like it's going to be fun to paint, I look at that Madagot hag and I'm like, there are so many mouths and teeth and just so many of everything on this to paint.
And it's like a huge model, right? What?
Oh, it's
like
it's like 6 inches tall.
So
are the Gregs.
Yeah.
The Gregs are. I mean, they're including their wings, they're about 5 inches. I think I sent you guys a picture not long ago.
Yeah.
And that was one thing we had kind of talked about was, depending on how you're playing, we generally play like if you can see the main body or the head, then you can, you've got line of sight and you can shoot them. That's kind of one of the things that I definitely think is going to have to take place with the Gregs and with the hag.
Yeah, you
to
and
a
I
certain
were
extent.
You and I were talking about that the other day, where it's like, yeah, even though like for the hag, like the top inch and a half is the cross that she's on. So like, yeah, obviously if you can just see the top of the cross, then you don't have line of sight to her.
Yeah, but even if you measure just to the top of her head, she's still like 4 inches tall. She's still freaking huge.
Yeah,
Right.
the body is like set up very high. If you haven't seen the model, it's pretty fucking gnarly. It's like this bloated woman that's like giving birth to all these like zombies,
split in half and has a bunch of thralls pouring out of her. Oh, it's horrendous looking.
It's very gnarly. It's very metal. There's like these yawning zombies pouring out of her.
There's pictures of her going around on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like at least with the hag, I was like, oh well, if you just did it based on like if you can see the torso, then we'll do that. Like just shooting the cross, like if you can only see the cross or something, then that doesn't count. That kind of works for her because she's pretty big. Like she's a big bloated rot zombie. Ironically enough, if you were to do the same thing with the Gregs, that would be really hard because they could basically hide behind a telephone pole. Because the Greg looks like what used to be an 800-pound guy that lost 700 pounds. It's just a little skinny dude with tons of flabs of flesh hanging off of him. But the main body of the Greg is like super skinny. It's just he's got these giant wings and arms on him, and he's super tall.
Yeah, I saw the two poses. I like them. I like how it's like they've got those like weird moth wings. And they look like
that's
an
what I used to think
adult.
too. Have you not seen the backside of them?
No, I haven't.
I'll have to get a picture and send it to you. So I thought the same thing when it was like moth wings. It is not. It is fleshy wings.
Oh,
and
okay.
The backside of the wings is a gigantic mouth. There's teeth and
sick.
tongues and all kinds of stuff on it. Yeah, and there's a big mouth in the center.
Yeah, I've only seen
awesome.
the pictures from it like straight on.
Yeah, I don't think I had ever seen it before until I got the files and started looking at them. And yeah, the backside of the wings is basically a gigantic open mouth.
Oh wow.
Okay, yeah, you got to post pictures of that because that's awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty much all of them are like that. That's one of the things I really like with the thralls is they look more human. Well, they look more normal humanoid that turned into zombies rather than just
Yeah.
big bloated zombies with flies on them. Is the Great Hunger ones have mutations that look like giant boils that have opened up as big mouths. Some of them have like a big mouth on the shoulder. Some of them got it like in their mid body. Some of them are just completely disgusting. Like the fly thralls look like a giant rot zombie fly is basically taken over them to become the wings and all that. They're really done quite well. They're almost too detailed. Really, my only complaint with them is that like I can't. Well, I wouldn't run those with the stock Black Grail models because they look drastically different.
Now you also did something a little different when you printed these guys.
Oh yeah, I've been using a new resin, which ironically, despite the fact that I've usually have spent a lot of time and effort getting to one resin that I like and having settings for it and just being like, I'm using this and nothing else forever because I don't like tuning resin and printing out a bunch of test things. Last month I was using clear resin for the ghosts, and this month I heard about a new resin from Elegoo that's an ultra resin. It's supposed to be kind of like the tough resins that some people use, where it's more bendy and flexible. And it's so far from what I've been messing with it's about a little bit more expensive than the normal resin I get, so it's still really cheap. But it is significantly better on bending and breakage. I think I sent you guys a video where I took a little.
I was dying laughing. Like that poor model, you're just like throwing shit in the box and kicking it around.
I took a little model that I had that was a real spindly model, with really thin arms and such, and I had printed it out with this new resin, and I put it in a box with some like big wooden dowels, a metal lighter, and just some random trash and junk that was around my office. And then took it and threw the box down the hall, walked over and kicked it and freaking picked it up, shook it around and all that, and opened it up. And it came through with not a single break on it. It was perfectly fine. I don't know if I sent you the other ones. I literally was throwing it around my room, throwing it at the wall, throwing it against the table. And finally, it finally broke when it bounced off of a table, fell off of the landing, hit the ceiling fan over my living room and launched against the wall and fell all the way down to the first floor, and it broke one of the arms off when it hit the ground.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And this was after being in the box, being thrown around. So I'm like, it took quite a lot before it finally broke a limb off. So I don't like it for thicker pieces. I've had some issues with it on like big heavy body pieces and such. So what I've been doing a lot is like the butcher knights. They're kind of big, beefy looking dudes. So like I've been printing the main body in the standard resin that I use, and then just the arms or anything that's got long, skinny, spindly bits, I've been printing with the new like ABS Ultra or whatever it's called. I've been printing the arms and stuff that more often breaks with that, and just gluing those on that way to see how well that works. I'd like to, actually get it painted up and play with them and, have actual falls off of a table and see how well they last. Because I can tell you now, my standard resin, I've knocked minis off of the table a couple of times with those. My standard Black Grail Plague Knights, I think 2 or 3 of them, I think 3 of the 4 that I have taken a tumble and broken off at the ankles and been glued back together at least once each.
Yeah, I've had 2 models of mine. The lieutenant that I use for Red Brigade is the Red Brigade lieutenant, where he's on his right arm, he's pointing the automatic pistol, and he's got the trench hammer in his left hand, and that hammer's broke so many times. So I'd almost like to have it reprinted in that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like that was one of the first things I was testing was I had done some kit bashing and made some staffs for some of my Black Templars, the Crozius for the chaplain. I had made like a really long one, and I had test printed that one out because it's similar to the tank hammer where it's a real thin rod, and I'm like, man, this thing's gonna break so easy. And the standard resin that I printed in, you can hold it between 2 fingers and your thumb and push it, and you can bend it maybe a 1/4 inch before it snaps. This new resin, I printed the same piece in it, and I literally bent it around my thumb to like almost 180 degrees before it finally broke.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's very similar to if you've ever messed with any of like the tough resins, but it prints better than that. Most of the tough resins that I've used, the supports are real hard to get off, and they're almost too bendy. Like they don't have the stiffness. Like this still feels similar. It's weaker because it does bend, but it's similar stiffness to like my standard ABS like resin. It just has more give to it, more flex before it snaps.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
good.
definitely have to send you the files that I have for because I'd like to get the Sniper Priest probably redone, and then my Lieutenant, just because I know they got some little tiny little bits on them.
I told you before, I'll happily reprint your Sniper Priest and all that on the condition that you let me chuck the other one at a wall.
He's got to think about that one.
For no reason at all.
How about no?
Look, I'm just saying. If they removed the Warwolf, he would be at the top of my shit list.
Yeah, you should play a few games with the new Sniper Priest. I think he's even better now. So have fun with it.
God, can you give him blast somehow?
No, you can give him incendiary ammo.
I was gonna say you could probably give him some grenades.
Yeah.
But at
There's
least
no
he
reason
can't
I
be a
don't think you
sniper
could.
grenade.
Give him a grenade launcher.
Why not? He doesn't need to move.
I guess you technically could, can't you? Because is he limited to what he can take?
No.
No.
I think
If you don't plan on moving, you could just give him the grenade launcher.
So we got some other news. I think Eric and I found out today from a reliable source that the rule books for the Kickstarter fulfillment have started to ship out.
Yes.
So I can't wait. Even though I didn't back the Kickstarter, I was too late to the party. I just hope that the general public will get them sooner than later because I can't wait to get my hands on one.
Yeah, so this is like the last kind of, I think, big bottleneck for the like early wave for the game. It has had issues. Everyone knows that. And I'm waiting for the book too. I think we all are. We're waiting for a physical product, and we're waiting for the book. It's good to know that the product is moving. It's basically on its way. Hopefully, I can get it before Christmas. I would love to.
Yeah, I would love to see it out before Christmas, even if it's just to backers, because I highly doubt at this point that they'll have it on shelves and available for sale. But at least if they can get it to the backers before Christmas, that would be nice.
For us, it'll probably be Q1 of next year.
Yeah.
If we're lucky.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I would like for Christmas. Actually, I just want the Trench Crusade rulebook. I think I'd be happy with that. I don't need anything else.
Now, my question on that is: do we know? Has there been any other announcements or anything that you guys have heard about for the cover? Because I know that was a little bit of a controversy. When they announced a while back, there was some artwork of I think it's a Sin Eater and a shrine that look more like they're fighting side by side than fighting each other.
Oh yeah,
on a bright, sunshiny day.
I think we all agree that was a bit tonally strange. So the Kickstarter edition is supposed to be supposedly it's the cardinal, like the red hooded cardinal.
The Crimson Cardinal or
Yeah,
whatever.
that
it is.
cover is
Yeah.
so badass. Like I
Yeah.
want that cover on that book. Like
Yeah.
that'd be my dream to have that cover.
And personally, I think it kind of like sells the universe a little bit better. No, all respect to, I believe, Paul Bonner is the artist. He's like an old GW artist. That everyone there has their chops, but that piece didn't quite hit the spot for me. But the Cardinal one is like, oh yeah, that's Trench Crusade.
Yeah, well, honestly, the artwork isn't bad.
Right, it's good.
Just
it's
too bright.
Yeah, it's just a there's just a bit. It's a little strange. There's a few strange decisions.
It
done on that
reminds
one.
me of back in the day with Warhammer 40K and even Necromunda. We had the goblin green bases. It's like, in the in the 41st millennium, we're fighting on manicured lawns in the Underhive.
Yeah, like golf courses, like bright green golf course, goblin green bases, and like blue sunny skies. Yeah, that's like early Midhammer, super bright.
I was gonna say it does remind me a lot of the like old artwork you see from like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
From just about any tabletop game that was always very bright like that, especially like the more fantasy style ones, which I think is why a lot of that artwork is that way.
It also had to do with photographing.
True.
They photograph
the
better
colors are a lot easier.
With the green bases, they photographed a hell of a lot better.
yeah, and actually that's a good point because the hotness right now, of course, in Trench Crusade especially, is the grimdark painting style, and that was not really possible, or that was not like popular before because you were mostly seeing the models from like a table distance, right? So so GW would encourage people to paint in a way that shows up good, like on the tabletop. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and not only is it on the tabletop, like when you look at old White Dwarf or old magazines or anything like that, it was very rare that you would see stuff like you do now, where you get a close up of them. It's usually a tabletop of a game playing, and on top of that, it's printed in a 90s magazine. So you didn't have these 4K images that are printed on high quality gloss magazine paper. You're talking like one step above newspaper printing, basically.
Yeah.
On some of this stuff. So you needed bright colors that would stand out, that you're like, oh, that's an Imperial Fist because he's yellow.
Yeah. So people were much.
Back then, we didn't even have internet.
Yeah. So people were a lot more limited.
That was what you had.
Yeah.
And now that everybody has basically almost a pro level camera like in their pocket, the game has changed, right? So you could do these like I'll be honest, I paint in a grimdark style mostly, like what they call grimdark style, and a lot of it, if you're not cognizant of what you're doing, like at all distances, like your army can just look like washed out, like from a tabletop distance. Like when you're like. I've definitely painted models where I'm like, yeah, this is so sick. It looks so cool on camera. And then I like take it to the store. I'm like, actually, this kind of looks like just a muddy mess because I didn't think about like what it's going to look like, 4 feet away. I just had it like in my face the whole time. And a lot of people will take their photographs to the Insta and all that, and it looks great. But like, if you look at it at an arm's length, it just gets like washed out. In like just like a normal distance.
That's one of the funny things that my buddy and I always complain about is, we always are joking when we send pictures of stuff we've painted back and forth, and it's like just like you said, I've got it zoomed in where the whole full frame of my phone camera is, the entire mini, and you can see every little tiny brushstroke. You can almost see the layer lines in the the resin printed thing, so it's like, it's ridiculous. And it's like, yeah, I'm not super happy the lines aren't clean. But, if you hold it at arm's length, it looks phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
So I actually started painting, I guess you call it the grim dark style now. when I got back into playing 40K in 2020. So the pandemic, I did my
Yeah.
entire orc army is all, it's rusted metals, and
Oh, nice.
so it's very not traditional how at the time, orc armies were being painted, with the brighter colors, and I even went with like I played Death Skulls. So there's some
Okay.
blues and stuff in there, but it's all, just rusted, nasty metal, and how, you would think orcs actually are. So
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things where when you look at those individual ones, depending on how how contrasty you make something, because I've definitely done like you talked about, Eric, where I've just done something and I'm like, this looks super dark and dingy, but as soon as you hold it at arm's length, I'm like, yeah, it just looks muddy, and now I can't see anything.
Yeah. Same with like camo. People do like really good camo schemes and it looks awesome like up close, and then the camo is
yeah.
like it works too good, so it gets like
it
washed
works.
out. Like your eye like passes over. It's like, okay, you don't actually
The
like
camo works.
Yeah, and camo works. That's like, oh, it actually like blends in, and I can't really see the model. Like it's not, it actually isn't great for like doing a model that way.
I could see doing
Yeah,
the camo.
I'm less worried
camo
about
sh-
that because I'm also not like planning to take field pictures of my stuff, so I don't mind too much if it's like, oh, it looks good in the up close, but at a table distance, it's kind of meh. I'm like, as long as it looks good while I'm actually playing the game, because I've done a couple just from our own games where while we're playing, I'm like, man, this looks great, and then I'll like take a picture, and later on I go and I look back at the picture, and I'm like, this looked a lot cooler in person.
Yeah.
for sure.
Speaking of actually playing, so we haven't we talked about we went when Great Hunger Rules dropped. We talked about that, but we haven't talked about any playtests we've done. Is that correct?
I don't think we have.
No.
Okay, yeah. So I got to actually play a few games with the Great Hunger Rules, and they pretty much went how I expected. My list was like, there was like the Madagog Hag, and then it was 2 Gregs, and then the Thralls. And the army pretty much played how I thought it would. Kind of like and I think we were right when we called out the Gregs being really strong, because that's like the linchpin of the army. It was almost like, honestly, with the way things are now, the Madagog Hag was like almost kind of a tax. Like, I don't really need her. Like the Gregs are doing all the work.
But you don't have to take her as your leader.
No, you don't. But all the I wanted to try the abilities, because like there's so much the mechanics are like centered on her, and she synergizes with the thralls. So I was like, okay, I'll give her some abilities and do that. You can take a Lord of Tumors. You can
Instead of the hag.
yeah, instead of hag. So you give her up. But then there's not like so much synergy between I think how the design philosophy is. So I wanted to try kind of what was unique about the faction. I think it's kind of a trap to put all this stuff on her. You can give her like all these powers and like all this stuff. I think it's the temptation to load her down too much is there. I really think you should just be facilitating your Gregs, because not only do they hit pretty hard, are really fast, probably I think the fastest unit in the game. And
the heralds are technically faster. They're 10-inch fly, but you can't use them.
Okay.
Great Hunger.
Okay. Really? Wow. 10-inch fly. That's crazy. But
they die. They die really quick.
Yeah, a 9-inch fly thing is, it's faster than a damn Praetor, which I don't agree with. But those are just, and they infiltrate. So the big thing is like they can like stage, turn 1 or like pre-game stage out of sight, and then they can just like get up in your face and blow you up. It's exactly what I did. And I think it was it was like the perfect mismatch for my opponent, because he was playing Defenders of the Great Wall. So he was shooting. He wanted to play stay away. He wanted to, you know. So he got gimped in two ways. He got gimped by the new terrain rules or the new elevation rules because he couldn't claim his elevated bonus, which is like a huge part of that army. He couldn't claim it as easily, so he struggled with the shooting there, and then he also, I don't think the Sultanate stands up to like hard melee threats that well. They're basically in your face turn one because they infiltrate. And they have like infiltrating thralls, so it was like I think it's I gotta check the rules again, but like it was like you can get up there really fast.
I wonder how an assassin's list would deal with them.
Yeah, I mean I think they would might struggle even more with the recent indirect nerfs that they got. I would really like to see them go up against a very melee heavy faction. I think any Trench Pilgrims list would probably like beat them up pretty good. But just with that matchup, I kind of rolled over them. And I was like, oh man, I should have weakened this list a little bit. I should have dialed down the spice a little bit because I didn't go into it. I didn't go into it trying to min max. I was like, okay, well, it's letting me take 2 Gregs. I'll do that. And then I was like, okay, I'll take the hag, and then I just had like some thralls. I wanted to try the thralls, but
see, it's funny you say that because like when I still haven't played it yet, but I was trying to go through and look at how I would build out a list this week, and I was still focusing on a 700 ducat list just from pre 1.0 rules, and I definitely agree. I'm definitely taking 2 Gregs, but I pretty much was thinking 2 Gregs and the Madagot Hag, and probably only give her 1 Putracera spell because I mean the Gregs are 145 a piece, and then the Hag I think is 140 or 150. And then it's another, if you were to give her, because I think she can take 3 spells, but even if you give her the 3 cheapest, that's making her another 50 ducats or something like that. So she's 200 if not more.
So that's,
and I'm like, at that point you've got those 3 units and like a handful of thralls.
So that's your list for going into a one-off. But what would you, if we're going to play a campaign, what would be your starting list for Great Hunger?
I mean, I would definitely want to get in a game at first, but if you were starting at 800, well, I don't know if you were going to start a campaign.
Still 700, isn't it?
Yeah, I think campaign still starts at 700.
Yeah, I was going to say if you're still starting at 700, I don't know if I would do 2 Gregs to start with, just because from most of my experience in Trench Crusade and just in general with wargaming is, especially in skirmish games,
bodies.
As much as I love going top heavy lists, you really do need bodies, and I would want to take more bodies than trying to do 2, even because if you're starting with 2 Gregs, you're talking 400 to 500 ducats between your leader and 2 Gregs. So I don't know if I would do 2 for a campaign.
Yeah, that
it
doesn't
would probably
give you a lot
be
of
as soon
wiggle
as I
room.
had. Yeah, I was gonna say. Now that being said, as soon as game 2 or 3 comes around, I would be saving up to get that second Greg as the next unit to put in there, because I feel like 2 Gregs is gonna be crazy good to do. But the other big thing for the campaign that I think the Great Hunger is going to be so much better for was, I always looked at, with when we did our campaign, and I was like, if I could bend one rule, I'm like, I would like to bend the rule of unit count or unit cap, because I was like, if I could just take more thralls, they would be more useful, because just having 3 thralls or 4 thralls wasn't super useful. But I'm like, if I had no unit cap and I could take like 6 or 8 of them, I'm like, I feel like they'd be more useful, because then I could run them in 2 like 4-man squads, where I think that would be much more useful. Now in Great Hunger, I think they're a little bit better, because I don't think they're at a -1. I think they're just at a flat roll. And
Yeah.
then they still get so they get that, plus they get to add, 1 to their melee for every other thrall that's within range of them instead of just every black grail. But the thralls definitely have some better stuff, on top of which you can give them the Great Maw or what, I can't remember the name
It's
of
like
it. but where you
Ravenous
can-
Hunger or something. They can
Well,
they
they-
can bite themselves basically.
Well, they have that, and then I think you can also give them. Maybe it's only the glory ones, but you can give them the Ravenous, where they basically they just give an infection to somebody that's within 1 inch.
Yeah.
Which is just great. It just means
Yeah.
that as soon as, and to me, it makes sense that if you're, fighting a zombie, even if it doesn't bite you, just being in contact with it is potentially going to give you an infection.
Yeah.
So I like that. Plus, it's just a risky move. But they have I think they can take the one where they can pull somebody from within 12 inches. They pull them D6.
Oh, yeah.
closer.
You can get that like proboscis thing. I didn't do that because it's like, okay, now I'm making my basic troop very expensive for like a very like kind of gimmicky thing.
I don't know if you can add that to them later. Because I know it says like you can add it to a unit and it mutates with them, so they can't lose it.
Yeah, I think you have to do it at creation is generally how stuff upgrades and stuff operate, which sort of sucks. But I think in general you can't add stuff later. That's not like equipment.
I mean, it is listed.
Oh yeah, it is listed as equipment, and it just says that's it. Okay, I gotta look at that again because
yeah, I know that same. I'd have to look at it, but like that's something where I probably wouldn't. Definitely not at that for a campaign, and probably not even on a one-off. I don't think I would put it on a thrall. I could definitely see adding it to a thrall later on because I can see it being useful. I much rather like the idea of putting it on something like one of the hounds or on an elite unit, is giving them that feature to pull somebody towards them, because I just like the idea that it's any unit that's within 12 inches, you can pull them out of combat, you can pull them into combat. I believe even if you pull them out of combat, you still get to take your attacks of opportunity against them. So you could potentially, pull somebody away from another fight that you're in, punch them as you pull them away, and then pull them into contact with another unit that hasn't gone yet, and then activate that guy on your next round and go punch him again. So you could potentially use it to do some serious damage on stuff.
Yeah, especially if they're
One
like
thing.
and positioning shenanigans. So this is kind of annoying because it is equipment, but then it's like in the core rules, like it's like, oh, they can't be given battle kit for any reason. So it's like, well, how do you count the stipulation? Can you buy like battle kit later? Like that's the problem with these third party rules. They're not super tight like with the core rules yet. Like so they definitely need like some passes. Which they've already
that's one of the
had.
things was it said like in the Great Hunger, it says, the thralls are not thralls, they're the ravenous. They use the card for that with these exceptions.
Yeah.
It does make it more confusing on how it reads, because like that's where the other day I asked, I'm like, they can go on 25s or 32s because the files have it. I'm like, but I still can't figure out.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why they
need
have
they
it?
need to get their shit together with that, because that's annoying. Like it's like annoying.
And that's not even a Great Hunger thing. That's like all war bands have that. That's even in the core rules. The only thing that I've always thought. I think some of it did, at least in the core rules.
They fixed it in the core rules,
Yeah, the MHI used to be 32 or 40, and now it's just straight 40 mil.
Well, they consolidated it in the core rules, but not like the third-party rules, which is like, that's the problem we're talking about. It's like it moves at a different speed than the core rules.
Oh yeah, well it's even better because the Great Hunger rules. Again, if you haven't seen the files, this was one that I thought was funnier. Is because even in the core rules, when it talked about the Grail devotees, those were always something that came with the Lord of Tumors. And this is why I've always treated it like if you add extra stuff to them, like if you give them extra abilities or you give them something that they normally don't start with, like the Lord of Tumors can be on a 40 or a 50. And
Oh,
I
right,
always
yeah.
put him. I put him on a 50 because he is the size of a 40mm base, and he looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it in the rules it says, if you give him a Grail devotee, you can represent it with a model, but you don't have to. And if you do, the model doesn't mean anything. It's just there for looks.
Yeah.
So, but in order to physically put the Grail devotee on the base, you had to use the 50. So I've always treated it like that, and that's how I was going to do the thralls for Great Hunger. Is if they're just a regular thrall, give them the 25, and if I give them the extra battle kit ability, whatever it's called, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But if I give them that, then they would use the 32. But in the files, they have Grail devotees, which are quite large, and they actually have these weird bases that have a little like bite mark cutout of them so that you can push them up against another base. And the rules say basically that they don't count as anything. They're not really there. If you can put them on the board to represent that they're there, but you can move them for line of sight and getting into fights and all that kind of stuff. But they actually give you physical models, their own bases, and they've even got like a little half moon taken out of them so that you can stick it up against the main base of whoever they're with.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But they're huge. Like they're they have, and they're really nice looking. Like they've got one, and it's a guy like carrying, it's the big tank that's sticking out of the back of the Lord of Tumors. And then there's two of them where one of them's like holding up the bowl with the soup and guts and viscera that the other one's, drinking kind of deal. Well, the two guys are so big that the base they have for them is basically the 60 by 30, whatever the base that the hounds are on. It's essentially that. It's a pretty good sized base. And they have, 3 different sizes so that you can fit it against a 25, 32, or 40 mil base, or maybe a 40 and a 50 base. I don't remember the sizes. But they've got like 3 or 4 different base sizes for the Grail or the devotees, which I thought was interesting. I want to use them just because they're cool looking little minis, but I mean, you could almost just use them as something else entirely because they're really detailed, really good looking little minis. They would not, however, if you tried to fit them on the base with one of the other guys, they're way too big. They wouldn't fit.
Huh. You got anything else to add, Eric or Mike?
I mean, overall, like I said, I would definitely want to get in a couple games first. But if I was to start a campaign with the Great Hunger, I mean, I would definitely want to use the Hag. I would start with at least one Greg. I'd probably do the rest thralls and either get a Greg or a Knight as the next.
And I mean, like the thrall, like you can trick out your thralls, and the thralls are like good, so it's not like it doesn't feel like a tax, because if you're playing the Great Hunger, you want that kind of like ravenous horde feel, right? Like that's what makes it. That's what was cool, and that was what was fun about playing with them. Is it's like, okay, I have the big scary Gregs coming in. Oh, well, my regular thralls are like punching really hard too, which is great.
Did you use the rifle, the black spot rifle?
I did. Yeah, so I actually did. I took 2 of the corpse guard dudes, and then I gave them black rifles. It was okay. I thought it was whatever. I thought it was gonna be like really strong, because being able to put infection markers on somebody early is like is something you really want as vanilla Black Rail. I was just whatever on it. It was like fun, but it wasn't like, oh wow, this is like a thing I'm gonna rely on. I think if I had gone very like magic heavy, like the Arcana heavy, like it would have been more essential. But honestly, I wasn't starving for infection markers, because I had the upgrade that your guys can just give it to each other, and I think they could give it to themselves.
They can. Some of them can.
Yeah, so I was upgrading them to where you could give it to yourself.
Well, the big thing that I wanted from the black spot rifle is the fact that when you hit somebody with it, a thrall within a certain range can just charge.
Oh, right, yeah. I didn't get to use it. I didn't get to use that ability. It just didn't play out there. I mean, I was like punching him in the dick basically with the Greg, so I didn't need to do that. But I was like, oh yeah, that'll be cool. I want to try it, and then it just like never came up because I was like the Gregs had already torn through his lines. Well,
it was funny because the first time I saw it, I read it wrong, and I thought that it was just any thrall that wasn't in engagement could charge in, and I just loved the idea of essentially, your leader just being like, that guy right there, bang, and shoots him, and just like 4 thralls just immedely beeline into somebody.
That is
cool.
You're
only allowed to do 1.
Yeah, and I think it has to be within charge range to begin with, so it isn't as cool as I wanted it to be. It was really more of like an infection marker generator, which is fine. But it
seems like there's a lot of ways to do the infection markers now.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Which, to be fair, there should be.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I hated the most with regular Black Grail, like silly stuff about how an infection rifle doesn't cause infection markers.
Yeah, let's hope that gets a pass, but but yeah, it's almost like, I mean, I had a lot of infection markers. I'm sure my opponent could have spent them, just how they would spend any blood marker, but it just didn't come up.
So I have a question on the infection markers. Can you remove those with a medical kit?
Yes. I want to say yes. I've barely fought against Black Grail, so it hasn't come up, but I'm like 90% sure you can.
I've never had anybody remove them. I remember reading that there was, but I thought you could use like a blessing marker or something to get rid of them. I honestly don't remember.
It's not a... I gotta pull the battle kit.
I mean, I guess technically you could use a blessing marker to negate it, but I don't know if you could use it to just straight up take one away.
Because I know the medikits and like the medic, the combat medic can remove blood markers.
Okay, not anymore.
That would make sense.
So it used to be able to take infection markers away, not anymore. So that's a Black Grail buff. The medikit can no longer take away infection markers.
That feels like a very, very minimum buff, because I don't think like I said, I can't remember anybody ever actually removing.
Oh well, I mean, you should play. Did you play against Barry? He brought a lot. Well, he brought a lot against me when we played our game, and he was fucking me over with those medikits.
Was he?
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, he knew what he was doing.
I played him a couple times, but I don't think he ever used them on me.
One day when your guys make a hit in melee and land an infection marker, it'll be a buff.
That's mean.
Sad Eric beat me to the punch.
It is like, I mean, for a faction that would take medikits, I would spam them because they're quite good. And they're like 5
it wouldn't surprise. I'm honestly surprised that it doesn't. Because I would literally expect that the medikit would help with an infection. That kind of seems like what it would do.
Well, maybe it's like a magical infection, right? It's like,
it is literally a hell infection.
Hell super AIDS or whatever. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like another thing we thought, or another thing that when we did the first podcast on the rules pass, they had like both of the Gregs I think could negate fire. That's been reduced to 1, and it's not as good as it was. You have to like actually cast something for it to work now. And I think my opponent didn't bring any flamethrowers, so it wasn't a big deal. I think if you're going into the into the Great Hunger, into the Big Hunger, you take fire. They're a lot less scary. I don't think it negates the whole army. But
that's just Black Grail in general, though.
Right. Yeah,
they're
exactly.
Everybody has that fire thing. Right. There's only a couple, even regular Black Grail, there's only a couple that don't have that, the buff for fire where it's at -1 unless it's fire.
I would say that's even more so with the Big Hungry, because the Gregs are clearly the centerpiece unit. As for the Gregs themselves, they hit hard. They did exactly what they needed to. They're super mobile. That's the big difference between them and other like big scary. Like for example, the Anchorite Shrine is a big scary monster unit, but it doesn't have any like movement tricks. These things,
it's super slow.
Yeah, these things have like fly and 9 inches, which that just like changes it completely. You just like fly over a building and punch somebody. And they get 3 attacks when they charge, which they're probably going to be able to charge because they have such good movement. So, and that's actually another change I didn't like. It used to be if you landed your first 2 attacks, you could land your third, because it was like him grabbing you and then like biting you, which I thought was very cool. Now it's just you just charge. I'm sure they just did that for simplification, but it's not as cool. But overall, yeah, -2 injury dice is really strong. The Gregs were really strong. Like it. And they were like fun. I felt kind of bad because I don't know if it was a lot of fun for my opponent, but I would if I was gonna play a new player, I'd probably just like cut it down a little bit. Probably take 1.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it seems like it would be kind of fun and a little overpowered to run 2 in such a small list.
Yeah.
I want to try again some of the similar stuff. Like I definitely am going to use the Hag for the first couple of games because, like you said, that's the new cool.
Yeah, like, that's like their whole thing, right? Yeah, and like like the puke. Like I took the puke power because it was like funny, but I didn't even need to use it. Like
I was gonna say, did you ever even use it? Because like, that was one of the first ones that as soon as I was reading, I'm like, that sounds like it's gonna be crazy cool. But I'm like, you really need a special situation where you can, you know, hit a bunch of guys in an 8-inch line that's 1 millimeter wide.
So actually, I would actually put it on the Gregs because they can take an Arcana power, and like the Gregs have the maneuverability to set up that line shot.
100%.
Yeah, the Hag doesn't really. I think she gets like a dash bonus, but like you're like kind of hiding her a little bit. Like you're not, and you just don't have the same maneuverability. A Greg can definitely.
No, yeah, that's how I saw it. Is the Hag is basically your leader, but she's really there as like a major support. Like put the ranged Arcana stuff on, or Future Seraph spells or whatever on her, and then do stuff like that on the Gregs. You know, I honestly thought the fire one that people talked about, like, oh, put this on the Greg and it's immune to fire. I'm like, well, it still gets hurt by it. It just doesn't suffer the minus or the extra thing from it. I'm like, fire would still be scary, but I would put that on the Hag because the last thing I want is the Hag to die, even though most likely she's not going to because I'm going to surround her with a bunch of thralls, so they're just going to be, you know, there as cannon fodder.
Yeah, and if your Gregs die, it's not a big deal because you can just touch it with a thrall and it comes back to life. Like that's the whole. That's the cool thing about them. My Gregs didn't even go down. I didn't even use the mechanic, but it
really.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I guess they're -2. What is it? It's just like the.
It's -2 injury dice. Yeah, it's like the amalgam.
Yeah, it's just like the amalgam.
Which I mean, in practice, -2 dice is extremely hard to kill. That makes something really, really tough.
I used to believe that until one dude in Sultanate took out my friggin' amalgam in 2 turns.
It wasn't that. I talked to Adam yesterday. He was fire teamed with a Mamluk Ferris.
Yeah, so that'll do it.
But the second guy didn't shoot at the amalgam.
So did he?
No, but it was whatever. Yeah, it was whatever combo he uses. What ended up killing the amalgam?
Well, it was because he was in a fire team within 1 inch of the other guy. He got like a +1 to.
Oh, the Sultanate ability, the wall ability. It's like the wall buff.
He got a buff because he was within 1 inch of his other guy. Yeah. Oh. But it's still, even then, it was still just one dude shooting at me. The other guy in the fire team was shooting at other stuff. He wasn't shooting at the amalgam.
I see. Yeah, I mean, well, in case you roll bad, that's why you have a second Greg, right? Oh,
yeah. Not to mention that even if he goes down, you just go throw
right. So you're moving up with your thralls anyway. So you have your Greg and you have your backup Greg. And then those are causing trouble. And then by the time if the enemy manages to take them out, your thralls are there. and then they can just res them, and then your thralls can like punch pretty good too. So
yeah, that honestly, at first I didn't think that was that big of a deal that they weren't at a -1. But I'm like, honestly, just having a flat, because like I'm like a single thrall by himself was almost never doing anything. But I'm like, honestly, just a flat roll. I'm like, at least now it's a 50-50.
That's a big deal. Like
I'm like, he might actually do something, without having to run 2 or 3 of them together.
The odds of a -1 dice is versus a 0, like a flat neutral roll. That's a big deal. The math
really
is like
a huge difference.
The math is like 20 something percent to like almost 50%. It's like a pretty significant change.
Yeah, it doesn't like it at first glance it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but it really is a big deal.
So Mike, if you want to play test them next week, I could be down for an easy win against you.
That's just, you're supposed to let me win. But nah, definitely. Like I said, I should have most of the file.
Yeah,
well,
you have the models. You have the models, so run that shit because that. I mean,
for 100%.
Put that shit on the table for sure.
Oh, for sure. Well, that was my biggest thing. Was the first game when you played, I was like, "Ew, you're playing without models? Gross." I'm too much of a purist. But now that I have them, I'm definitely like, as soon as I got these printed out, I immediately messaged Johnny. I'm like, we need line of sight blocking terrain ridiculously. I'm like, these things are gigantic. I'm like, I used to think the Tumor Lord was tall. The freaking Gregs dwarf him.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
And I respect that you want the models on it. I get it. I was just messing with you.
No,
I get it. Like because I had that like hesitation too. But then it's like, well, what if I don't like the faction? Then I don't want to. I don't want to fucking model these guys and then bring them in. It's like, actually, this sucks ass.
Well, I'm not gonna. There was part of me that was one of the reasons why I was like, oh, I'm just gonna print these out and then I'll base them myself. But then I'm like, man, like I'm too lazy. I'm like, I don't want to have to sand off all of the key because, like I said, all of them have keys on their feet to fit into their molded bases. So I was like, I'm just going to put them on their standard bases, and it'll take me less time to make them. And, I'm pretty certain I'm going to like them. I like Black Grail anyway. They're super cool looking models. I'm like, I just wanted to play. I've played plenty of games before with just empty flat bases that were the right size just to play. But I definitely was like, no, I want to wait till the models get here to do this one because I'm like, I don't want to have it ruin it. Like, finally get the models and be like, they're not even that good. So that was one of the reasons why I was waiting until I had them.
So we do have some listener questions. There's only a couple this month. Fred asked. Future of plastic kits, a timeline for the future of Trench Crusade, further errata or adaptations on the rules, and next warband. I'm assuming he's asking our opinions on them. I think we already answered the future of plastic kits. Like going forward, pretty much everything's going to be plastic kits. As far as a timeline for the future, I know from what I've heard, 2026 is going to ramp up with them. I don't know if Eric, if you can elaborate or.
2026. I mean, it's going to be an exciting year, I think. So here's the things that we know. We know Hebrew Knights, Crusader Orders, Path of the Beast, and the Temple of Metamorphosis. Those are confirmed going to be playable factions. That's a whole model range, unique rules. These are not sub factions. These are their own separate rules. So their own mechanics, their own faction mechanics, and model lines. Those are coming up. We don't know anything about what they're going to play like. They're all I can say about that is that the rules writing is in good hands. I don't think I can exactly say who's doing it, but it's exciting. I was excited when I saw who's doing the rules for some of those factions, and
but is that 3 separate factions, like 3 entirely separate warbands?
Yes, it's not going to be sub factions. It's going to be their own factions with their own mechanics.
See, because I thought it was going to be like one of those was a new faction, and like the other two
no.
were
But like Path of the Beast is going to be its own thing. Temple of Metamorphosis is going to be its own thing. Hebrew Knights are going to be their own thing. Crusader Orders are going to be their own thing. I'm like pretty sure. And like we can only speculate, but there's like, you know, we have a good idea of what what they want to do. Like for example, Hebrew Knights, you got to have like a golem mechanic, right? You got to have some kind of build a golem mechanic, and that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what the golems look like. I know Westphalia has their own version of it. It's like kind of funny.
They kind of do in House of Wisdom, right?
Right. Yeah. They have the Taquin creatures. I think it'll be similar to that. I'm really interested to see how they distinguish themselves, and like how they what kind of stuff you can do to give them, and what kind of like keywords and all that. Yeah, you are like. I imagine it will be similar to the build the Taquin creature homunculus mechanic for House of Wisdom, but yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty sure they'll have their own distinguishing rules though. Path of the Beast and Temple of Metamorphosis. Who fucking knows what they're gonna play like? Temple of Metamorphosis, especially. I have no idea what that's gonna. I mean, if you've seen the art for it, it's all crazy shit. Everyone's like a shrimp.
Yeah, honestly, I think they're gonna be another very heavy melee focused and little range similar to Grail.
I mean, Path of the Beast for sure, because it's all like people turning into wolves and shit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think Path of the Beast would probably be more melee, and Church would probably be more like casting and magic.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be magic heavy. I think it'd be cool to like have like like the old like turn your enemy into a chaos spawn rule. In 40K. I hope it's something like that, because that would be like really funny. But yeah, I mean again, those are just what we have like confirmed. And I mean there's art for it, there's the concept for it, there's people writing rules for it. That's pretty well and said.
And I know it's not an official faction, but the War Games Atlantic crew, that those trench Cossacks that they did are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, with there being 3 or 4 new factions completely that they're talking about bringing out, what do you think about the likelihood of a timeline for that being that those come out, maybe once per quarter next year?
You talking about warbands?
Or yeah, the warbands. Do you think that's possible that they space them out that way? I mean, I'm not trying to pry more into, is this one group writing all the rules or 4 separate groups each writing their own rules? Because ideally, I think that would be great from a marketing perspective and everything, is, have these come out once a quarter, to push forward with that. And as a player myself, I would much rather see them spaced out and get those rather than, we're going to wait and at the end of the year they release, all of them all at the same time or something.
That's a good question. I know that they don't want to do. Trying to like see how much I can say, but they don't want to.
Like I said, I'm trying not to pry too much. What do you think from your thoughts and feelings?
I don't think they like the drip feed model. Okay, honestly, I don't know how they want to release their plastics. I legitimately don't know like what kind of schedule they want to do. I don't know if they're doing them one by one. I don't know if they're doing they're gonna like do 1 a quarter. Well, I mean 1 a quarter would mean like you get like Hebrew Knights, Path of the Beast, Temple of Metamorphosis, and then the Crusader Orders in a year. That would be a fairly, I think, realistic and reasonable expectation. If it averages out to if that averaged out to like, once a quarter, I would probably be happy, I guess. With plastics, with full rules, with all that stuff.
I'm just saying, would they release them? I'm not expecting release and plastic kits. I mean, I would expect them to release plastic kits at the same time, but ramping up. I mean, I don't know exactly when they started, but just based off of the releases of like when they started sending pictures out of them making the molds for their first plastic kit.
It was fairly quick.
Yeah,
it was pretty decently quick. It was only a couple of months, but
I think
trying to do that 4 times in a year for what is a relatively smaller company, I don't know. That seems a little bit rough. It's doable. It's
Yeah.
not impossible.
well so that was like their struggle, right? Like that was like what they have basically been like, so recently it's been like relative radio silence in terms of like updates for the game. It's because they were like working on those plastics really hard. And that's I think what most of that was like kind of setting up their production pipeline for that. I think now that that's done, they can focus more on putting out actual kits. And the Kickstarter fulfillment was a quagmire. I think they had some serious issues with that. But from what I've seen, Archon Games is pretty reliable. What I've heard is that they're pretty reliable. People are already getting their plastic kits now. I mean, think about how long it took for the
I know they
Kickstarter.
I know
stuff.
they had an issue just with the distributors and just the distributors getting the product to ship out to the game stores. I know there was a hang up. What caused it? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, there's some clear shipping issues and some there's obviously some politics going on that is not just limited to the wargaming community. There's obviously
world economics.
Yeah,
and
there's obviously some logistical issues that are go beyond the scope of the hobby. But I mean, people are posting and getting their plastic boxes like now, which in my opinion
they're definitely trickling in now.
Yeah, that's a great time frame. Hopefully I can get mine soon. I really want to. I'm kind of starting to oppose Prussia just on principle, just because they're so popular. But I want to get a Prussia warband and paint it, and I'll probably play some games with them. I want to be the hipster
you got all the other ones.
Yeah, exactly right. So, and I definitely want to get the first official plastic kit, and the models are cool. Like the Hopman, that is friggin' awesome. The Feld Complaint is awesome.
We got one more listener question. Zeros asked. In further testing games, how do you all feel about Blast, the more games you've gotten both with and against it?
I think I've played the most games since 1.0 dropped. And I think Blast, after playing another game with it, I think it needs a rework or not. I mean,
See, I haven't played with it yet, but my biggest thing, it doesn't seem terrible. I think the one big thing that should be done is that they need to add like a shotgun keyword or something for stuff like the punt gun, where I don't really have a problem.
Well, the punt gun does have a shotgun keyword. No, it does have shotgun.
Okay, well, does that? Well, but my biggest thing is that.
Well, they added that in 1.0.
But does that mean though that it still has blast though, right?
Yes, it has blast and shotgun.
Yeah, but you can still, if you've got a guy behind a wall that's in cover and you can't shoot him, if you shoot the ground right next to him that you can see and you shoot it with blast on the punt gun, it still works like blast and you still injure that guy. That I don't think should work. I think that shotgun I'm okay with shotgun having a blast like action like that, but you should still have to have clear line of sight to them. Versus, I'm perfectly fine with a grenade doing that because it's a grenade. You're throwing an explosive at.
Well, that's the problem, right? It's so, as it is right now, it's so gamey and it feels gamey because two guys can be in melee and you can basically snipe the opponent in melee with a grenade. I don't. That would be using the grenade as a precision weapon to pick out. That's very not grenade, right? It's very
I would agree with that. That would
feels.
Be the other. That would be the other nerf that I would want to see to that.
So
I think that's as simple as if a blast hits one guy, basically if it hits somebody who's in engagement, it hits everybody in that engagement.
So what they did, because people would do that with Necromunda to skirt certain loopholes or to create a loophole to get around targeting certain games. For instance, the corpse grinders, in order to target them, you had to make a willpower check because of the masks that they're wearing. So you target the ground, you didn't have to do that. But now with the current edition for Necromunda, you're at a penalty to shoot at the ground or a piece of terrain. It should be that. If you target the ground, then you should be at like a minus dice.
Yeah, I think
Versus
some
throwing
kind
it
of
at-
like, yeah, there needs to be some kind of like inaccuracy mechanic if you're targeting the ground, like if you're like just tossing it and blind firing or whatever. Like there needs to be some kind of like. I mean, I would love for scatter dice to come back.
I was just about to say scatter dice.
Some people would vehemently disagree with me. Some people don't want more stuff. Like, people don't want like more mechanics into the game. But like,
It's okay. People are allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, right. I personally love scatter dice. I love templates too. That's my thing. I know some people don't like them, but I like
still
them.
have scatter dice from the second edition 40K box set.
Exactly. Let me use those again, please. Let me use my Assault on Black Reach scatter dice, please.
Bring back flame templates.
Yeah, exactly. I would love for all that stuff to come back. But at the very least, I definitely think Blast needs another pass. I mean, I'll game the hell out of it just because that's how that rule is worded right now. But it feels gamey. And I think it needs to introduce some level of uncertainty if you're just like throwing it into a melee or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely think that it should be something. I disagree with the ability to essentially precision cut someone out of engagement or of in an engagement type of situation. Again, I think that should just be something as simple as if it hits one person that's in engagement, it hits everybody that's in there. Because essentially, if you're sitting there, fighting each other and a grenade goes off, if it's going to hit one of you, it's going to hit all of you. Maybe do like a line of sight type of thing where if there's, a guy between you and the explosion that, okay, maybe, that guy doesn't get hit, only the guy in the middle does. But I still just think it would be as simple as that because, again, I think if you did it that way, people are still going to try to game it. I just say if you throw a grenade and it hits one guy, all of them get hit.
Yeah. So we have some upcoming events we want to share. I'm doing the Krampusnacht. It's a one-day narrative multiplayer event at Spray Gunner starting at 6 p.m. on December 18th. I don't know, by the time this airs, I don't know if that'll already be passed or not. But it'll just a one-off Christmas just for our local community, Christmas-themed event. And then we have Adepticon 2026 from March 25th to the 29th at the Baird Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I know Factory Fortress, they'll have the Trench Crusade booth out there again this year, along with a bunch of other wargaming stuff.
Hoping to actually try to, talk to them, actually buy merch from them, do something with them this year. Last year, I didn't get to really do much with them.
Yeah, if all goes according to plan, I'll be there with them, working their booth, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have Schmolly's Gaming Cave, Trench Crusade monthly meetup on the third Tuesday of every month in Crown Point, Indiana. And there's a Trench Crusade tournament, 908 ducat at Aegis Games in Bellingham, Washington from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. on January 11th. It's a $35 entry fee, but they're doing they're raffling miniatures and they got swag. You can sign up online or in store. Then we have InCon 2026, which is in April 25th in Innsbruck, Austria. They're doing Trench Crusade demos there. Then there's GothCon on April 3rd through the 5th in Gothenburg, Sweden. And they're doing demos there as well. And there's a demo in games January 10th, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Radadel Augsburg, Germany. And that one's actually sponsored by Westphalia. Mike, Eric, you got anything else for us?
I think that's it for me.
No, I was going to say only other thing would be to remind people that, for all your paints and hobby supply needs, check out spraygunner.com and use our link, which will be in the description. And the
discount code TFS 5OFF SG. Also, we'll put that in the description as well. And you get 5% off your entire purchase. If you have any further questions for us or stuff you want us to hear our opinion on, you could reach out to us on our Discord, or you can send us messages at trenchfootsocietypodcast@gmail.com.
All right. We will see you all next year. Have a great Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.